The hall of the Galactic Council was quiet in a way that made many species uneasy. It was not the calm of peace, but the stillness that came before careful words. A giant star map floated above the chamber, glowing in soft blue and white light. Thousands of systems were marked with clear lines, names, and routes. Trade lanes shone like thin silver threads. Borders were drawn with careful curves. Yet at the center of the map, spreading like a dark ocean, there was nothing, no names. No routes, no symbols of danger or warning. Only empty space, shaped with sharp edges as if someone had cut it out on purpose. At the edge of that emptiness were two simple words written in neutral galactic script. Human Space. Captain Jiho Park stood among the observers, his hands clasped behind his back. He was young for his rank, but his eyes were steady. He had seen war zones and broken colonies, but the blank space on the map unsettled him more than any battlefield. He watched the reactions of the older delegates. Many refused to look at the empty region for long. A few turned their bodies away from it, as if distance alone could offer safety. Jiho served aboard the exploration vessel Dawn Herald. His ship charted unstable regions and forgotten routes, the kind of work that brought honor and quiet fear. When his mission logs were reviewed, his crew joked that he chased shadows for a living. Yet even he had never been assigned near the border of human space. No one was at the center of the council floor. Historian Hana Lee adjusted the datapad in her hands. She was known for her patience and her careful use of words. Her people believed that truth survived best when it was handled gently. Hana had studied records older than most star nations, and she knew how often maps were changed by pride or loss. Still, this empty region troubled her. She stepped forward and spoke in a clear, calm voice. She asked a simple question. Why does the map end here? The question echoed through the chamber. No one answered at first. Several delegates exchanged glances. A few mechanical species processed the words longer than normal, as if searching for missing data. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Finally, an elder delegate from a long-lived species spoke. His voice was slow and careful. He said the map did not end. It was stopped. Hana asked who stopped it. The elder did not answer directly. He said that mapping drones sent into human space never returned. Long-range sensors failed in ways that made no sense. Signals vanished without noise or damage. Ships that crossed the border were not destroyed. They were simply gone. Jiho felt a chill move through him. Disappearance without wreckage or distress was rare. Even the worst space storms left traces. Another delegate added that humans did not issue threats. They did not demand territory or tribute. They sent no warnings beyond the border. The emptiness on the map was not marked with danger signs because none had been transmitted. That made it worse. Hana scrolled through her data pad. She saw gaps in records that should not exist. Centuries of exploration logs ended at the same invisible line. Older charts showed that region once filled with stars like any other. Then, over time, names faded. Routes were removed. Coordinates were replaced with neutral space codes. Finally, nothing remained. She asked if there was a law that forbade mapping the region. The answer was no. Jiho studied the map again. He noticed something few others seemed to see. The borders around human space were smooth, not jagged like those formed by war. They followed natural stellar lines, as if someone had taken time to choose them. That suggested planning, not chaos. A navigation officer from a trade guild spoke next. He said that ships traveling near the border experienced strange effects. Time readings drifted. Memory logs repeated short segments. Crew members reported a sense of being watched, not with hostility, but with attention. Jiho imagined standing on the bridge of his ship, sensors dimming one by one, while something unseen observed from the dark. His grip tightened. Hana asked the question many feared. Why not ask the humans directly? This time, several voices answered at once. Some said humans were difficult to contact. Others said attempts had been made long ago. One voice, quiet but firm, said that those who asked never tried again. That answer did not satisfy Hana, but she understood its meaning. Fear had shaped policy more than fact. A council chair called for order and announced the reason for the meeting. A new expansion of trade routes required updated maps. Junior species would soon gain access to public charts. The council needed to decide what they would see. Jiho realized the truth then. This meeting was not about knowledge. It was about choice. Hana was invited to present her findings. She spoke of patterns, not rumors. She explained that humans appeared suddenly in galactic history, rising faster than expected. They fought wars early, learned hard lessons, and then changed direction. Their expansion slowed. Their borders hardened. Instead of pushing outward, they reinforced inward. She suggested human space was not empty, but controlled. Not hidden, but closed. A murmur moved through the hall. Some delegates objected. Others listened closely. Jiho felt a strange sense of respect form in his chest. A power that could claim space without needing to prove it was rare. The council debated for hours. Voices rose and fell. Data was shared and dismissed. In the end, no one proposed crossing the border. When the session ended, the map remained unchanged. Human space stayed blank. As Jiho left the chamber, he paused once more to look at the dark region. He did not feel fear then. He felt caution. And beneath it, something else. A quiet understanding that whatever lived beyond that line had chosen restraint. Hana walked beside him. She said softly that some questions protect more lives when left unanswered. Jiho nodded. For the first time, he was grateful that the map ended where it did. Captain Jiho Park stood on the observation deck of the Dawn Herald, staring at the dark edge of human space. The stars beyond shimmered faintly, distant and untouched. The emptiness was not frightening, but it demanded attention. Every officer aboard sensed the weight of the unknown. Even the artificial intelligence of the ship remained unusually quiet, as if aware that the humans beyond were watching silently. Ambassador Su Kim arrived from the council to observe this border firsthand. She was calm, with soft eyes that missed nothing. Her presence signaled the importance of this mission. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she allowed the hum of the ship's engines to fill the silence. Finally, she turned to Jiho. "This is human space," she said simply. "Do you feel it?" Jiho nodded. He did. A strange feeling settled in his chest. It was not fear or excitement, but a mix of respect and curiosity. Every system beyond the edge of the map held the same warning. The humans had made it clear without words. Do not enter. Engineer Minseo Choi worked in the lower decks, scanning signals from the border. Her hands moved swiftly across the console, reading encrypted transmissions that the ship's AI barely recognized. She discovered repeated patterns, simple and precise. They were not messages of attack, but they were meant to be noticed. Every few minutes, a signal pulsed from the edge of human space and then disappeared. Minseo said aloud what she had realized. "They want us to know they are here, but they do not want us to come closer." Jiho joined her. He studied the readouts, then shook his head. "They do not speak. They do not threaten. But even so, everyone who approaches feels it." The crew whispered about the beacons and signals. They were always polite, precise, and simple. Ships reported seeing patterns in the stars that moved unnaturally and vanished. Attempts to map these changes had failed. Those who tried often returned with scrambled logs or empty data. Su Kim listened to these reports quietly. She asked questions about crew behavior. Many admitted to feeling watched. No one reported fear. The humans were not cruel, but careful. They observed, measured, and decided whether to act. Every signal suggested caution and intelligence rather than hostility. Jiho wondered if they were being tested. Perhaps the humans wanted to see how other species responded to the unknown. Perhaps they measured patience, respect, and understanding. The Dawn Herald moved slowly along the border. Sensors recorded unusual energy fields, subtle distortions in space-time, and shifts in gravitation. Minseo analyzed them and explained that humans had technology beyond anything the Council could measure. Even the AI admitted that the readings were difficult to interpret. Hanalai, historian and advisor, joined Jiho on the observation deck. She had reviewed centuries of data about humans. Her voice was soft, but full of certainty. Humans do not conquer through force alone, she said. They claim space by choice, by controlling it without showing it. Jiho stared at the blank region. Why leave it open to interpretation? He asked. Because power that must be seen is not true power, Hana replied. The unknown forces respect. They make others careful. The crew continued to study the signals. The pulses contained fragments of star coordinates, but they led nowhere. Ships could not follow them. Drones could not survive long in the space beyond. Each attempt ended with the same message. The humans decide what to share and when. Rumors grew among the crew. Some said humans kept dangerous technology hidden. Others believed the humans had made peace with threats that no other species could face. Jiho listened, but did not speak. He understood that the truth was larger than any story. It was a quiet power that demanded awareness. A small alien scouting vessel appeared near the Dawn Herald. Its pilot was nervous, reporting rapid shifts in sensors and strange flashes in space. The signals from human space seemed to respond. They did not attack, but the scout returned to Jiho's ship with logs full of gaps. Even the most advanced mapping software had failed. Su Kim summarized the reports in a council-ready statement. Humans did not need to fight to maintain their space. They simply observed. They allowed borders to remain invisible. Their strength lay in self-control, not aggression. Jiho spoke to the crew. Do not mistake silence for weakness. This is strategy, intelligence, and patience combined. We have learned something vital. Respect for limits can be more powerful than war. The Dawn Herald continued along the border for weeks. Crew routines became quiet and disciplined. They measured energy fluctuations, recorded every pulse, and documented human patterns. Their instruments revealed nothing aggressive. Yet every observation left a sense of humility. The humans beyond the border acted like guardians. They watched, measured, and waited. One night, Jiho and Su Kim stood on the observation deck, watching the stars shimmer beyond the edge of the known map. Jiho broke the silence. What if we could ask them why? Su Kim shook her head. Some questions have answers that are not meant for us. Sometimes understanding comes from observation, not conversation. Jiho thought of the centuries of lost exploration, the drones that never returned, the missing ships. He felt a deep respect for humans and their quiet choices. Their space remained uncharted, not because it was dangerous, but because humans had decided it would be so. Min Seo joined them, carrying the last reports. They do not seek contact, yet they are aware of every attempt to study them. It is deliberate. Every pulse, every anomaly is a message. We exist, but you are not to enter. Hannah Lay added, it is not fear they inspire. It is caution, discipline, and respect. This is what makes humans remarkable in the galaxy. They do not conquer by force alone. The Dawn Herald returned to a safe distance. Even so, the crew felt watched, carefully and silently, by forces that remained unseen. The logs would be submitted to the council, with every note of anomaly recorded. The humans beyond the map were not enemies, but reminders that some power exists in patience, choice, and restraint. The border of human space remained unchanged. The signals continued to pulse. The stars beyond remained distant and untouched, and the unknown continued to command respect. Jiho Park understood that the humans had taught a lesson without speaking a single word. That lesson would stay with him, the crew, and the galaxy for centuries to come. The alien cruiser emerged slowly from the darkness of human space, its hull scarred and its systems damaged. It was a rare sight. No ship had returned from that region in decades. Captain Jiho Park and his crew watched from the observation deck of the Dawn Herald as the damaged vessel limped into view. The ship's flags were tattered, and its engines emitted uneven pulses. The crew of the Dawn Herald felt an unusual tension. This was not a rescue mission, but a revelation. Inside the alien cruiser, survivors struggled to maintain control. Yuna Han, a young pilot, had been at the helm when her ship entered human space on a routine scouting mission. They had expected to map new star systems, perhaps encounter minor hazards, but instead they had vanished for years. Time and space had seemed to bend around them. When they emerged, they were in an entirely different part of the galaxy, disoriented and amazed to find themselves still alive. Yuna and the remaining crew described their encounter with humans. The humans appeared without warning, in sleek vessels with surfaces that seemed to absorb light. They were not hostile. They did not demand surrender or payment. Instead, they repaired the alien cruiser, restored the systems, and provided supplies for the journey back. No words of thanks were accepted, no ceremonies held. The humans simply watched, ensured their work was complete, and then left. Captain Jiho Park listened carefully. His crew recorded every word. The idea of a civilization so powerful yet so controlled was unprecedented. These humans did not attack. They did not conquer. They offered assistance, but only on their own terms. The lesson was clear. Humans did not fight to dominate, yet their influence was absolute. Historian Hana Lee was amazed. She asked Yuna about the human demeanor. Yuna explained that the humans seemed patient, calculating, and kind in a way that carried authority. They did not need fear to command respect. Every decision they made showed control over technology, space, and even time. It was not just power. It was choice, carefully exercised. Chi-Ho considered this. He had always thought of strength as visible and forceful. Humans had redefined it. They held control over a vast region, not by claiming it openly, but by choosing how to use it or not use it. It was a silent dominance, one that left everyone cautious and aware. Su Kim requested more details about the border. Yuna explained that every attempt to approach, map, or observe human space was met with subtle redirection. Drones malfunctioned without explanation. Sensors provided incomplete or misleading data. Ships that ventured too far found themselves gently guided back. The humans monitored without interfering, allowing outsiders to learn the limits of their own capabilities. Engineer Minseo Choi analyzed the information and confirmed it. Humans had technology capable of precise manipulation of space-time and energy fields. The readings suggested that they could influence trajectories, prevent malfunctions, and observe at distances without being seen. Their presence was felt, but never aggressive. It was a careful balance of guidance and observation. The council debated the meaning of Yuna's testimony. Delegates questioned whether humanity's methods were deliberate strategy or natural instinct. Some suggested it was a defense mechanism. Others argued it was a philosophy, a deliberate choice to restrain power rather than wield it recklessly. Jiho and Hana remained silent. They understood the truth lay not in theory, but in observation. Weeks passed as the Dawn Herald escorted the alien cruiser to a safe dock within human-monitored space. The crew observed every detail: how signals moved, how energy fields adjusted around the ship, and how the humans communicated silently through data streams. Yuna emphasized that no threat was made, no weapon fired. The humans simply ensured that survival and safe passage were guaranteed. Hana noted that the humans' actions conveyed a message far stronger than any diplomatic statement. Strength without aggression commanded more respect than open warfare. It was a demonstration of responsibility and self-control. The humans had taught a lesson without speaking a word. Jiho felt a growing respect. He thought of the hundreds of scouts, explorers, and drones that had disappeared over the centuries. Those losses were not failures, but lessons. Humans allowed others to make choices, but they set boundaries carefully, ensuring those choices did not cross lines of danger. The alien crews shared their experience in full reports, which Minseo translated and compiled. These logs were sent to the council with notes and observations. Delegates were forced to consider a species that did not rule with fear, but achieved dominance through intelligence and restraint. It was a lesson the galaxy had rarely seen. Su Kim reflected on the implications. "This is not conquest," she said. "This is stewardship. Humans hold power in their hands, but choose how to use it. That choice is why the map ends here." Jiho agreed. He understood that the human strength was measured not by how far they could reach, but by how wisely they could control what was already within their grasp. The galaxy's deadliest weapons were unnecessary because humans had already mastered discipline and strategy. The Dawn Herald departed from the alien cruiser, leaving it in safe territory. The crew of Jiho's ship felt a sense of awe. The lesson was clear and simple. Humans did not act recklessly. They did not extend beyond what they chose to control. They watched, guided, and waited, and in doing so, inspired respect and caution. Hana summarized the experience in her records. Humans were a civilization of paradoxes, powerful yet restrained, observed yet unseen, commanding without declaring authority. Every account of their actions suggested that they could defend and expand at will, yet they chose limitation and control. The uncharted region on the map was not a mystery because of fear, but because of deliberate choice. As Jiho looked at the stars beyond the edge of the known galaxy, he realized that human restraint was the reason for caution throughout the council. Their power was invisible but absolute, respected across systems and species alike. The lesson of the returned ship, and of the humans who had guided it, would remain in the minds of explorers and historians for generations. The alien survivors returned to their home systems, bringing tales of human restraint, intelligence, and quiet authority. Even those who had once feared the unknown now carried a new understanding, that human space was not marked on the map because humanity chose to limit itself, not because it was unknown or weak. Jiho Park knew that the galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans had demonstrated that true power did not need to be shouted or displayed openly. Theirs was a silent dominance, respected and feared not through violence, but through careful choice. Every ship that returned, every observation recorded, confirmed it. Human space was deliberately uncharted, a lesson in restraint and intelligence that no one dared ignore. Captain Jiho Park stood quietly on the bridge of the Dawn Herald, watching the distant stars shimmer along the edge of human space. The vast darkness beyond was calm, but it carried weight. Every officer aboard felt the same mixture of respect and curiosity. The humans had shown themselves not through force, but through subtle control. Now it was time for a closer observation, a sanctioned border exchange that would reveal more about the humans' choices. A human vessel appeared on the sensors. It was sleek and silent, gliding without visible engines, almost blending into the star field. Jiho's crew watched in awe. The humans did not make contact immediately. They maintained a safe distance, but every move was precise. The vessel's trajectory seemed designed to observe and communicate, yet it did not threaten or interfere. Jiho received a communication request from the human vessel. The name of the commander appeared on the screen, Alex Morgan. The voice that followed was calm, clear, and firm. Alex explained the purpose of their approach: to observe, guide, and establish clear limits without confrontation. Historian Hanalei joined Jiho on the bridge. She listened carefully as Alex described the humans' philosophy. "We control our space," Alex said, "not because we seek power, but because we understand responsibility. Expansion is not our goal. Protection and balance are." Jiho was struck by the simplicity of the statement. Humans had no need for conquest or domination. They did not seek recognition. Their authority was implied, respected by observation alone. Every ship in the galaxy knew the boundaries, yet no one dared challenge them. Not because of threats, but because the humans chose to enforce them in quiet ways. Engineer Minseo Choi monitored the energy fields around the human vessel. She observed subtle manipulations of gravity and spacetime, enough to guide or redirect objects without force. This explained the lost ships and drones from earlier centuries. Humans had the ability to intervene, but they did so with care and discretion. Their technology was precise, their influence nearly invisible. Yet absolute. Alex continued, explaining that humans did not interfere in other civilizations unless absolutely necessary. They observed, waited, and acted only when a choice crossed lines of danger. This restraint created a buffer between chaos and order in the galaxy. Jiho realized that the humans' reputation for mystery and power was not built on myths, but on careful management of space in action. That the Dawn Herald maintained a parallel course with the human vessel. Sensors recorded every pulse, energy fluctuation, and adjustment in spacetime. Every measurement suggested intelligence, control, and patience. There was no aggression, only careful observation. Sue Kim, the ambassador, summarized the human message for the crew. She said that the human silence was intentional. They had the ability to act, yet they chose to show restraint. This was the essence of their strength. The galaxy had not seen such deliberate control before. Jiho asked Alex why the humans allowed the map to end at their borders. Alex responded with a simple answer. "The map ends here because we choose it. We do not wish to extend our influence unnecessarily. We hold our space so that others can understand the value of boundaries and the cost of ignoring them." Hana reflected on this. The human's choice was a lesson in itself. By limiting the map, they forced others to respect the unseen, to act with caution, and to understand the power of restraint. The lesson was more effective than war or diplomacy because it was experienced rather than taught. The crew of the Dawn Herald recorded every detail. Observations, measurements, and reports were compiled for the council. Every officer felt the significance of what they witnessed. Humanity's restraint was not weakness. It was the strongest statement any species could make. As the observation continued, Jiho noticed the humans performing subtle guidance maneuvers on nearby debris and space objects. Nothing aggressive, nothing harmful. Just careful control, keeping space safe and stable. The humans maintained balance without intervention. An art of precision that left no doubt about their abilities. Minseo noted that even the smallest changes required advanced understanding of physics, energy, and time. Humanity had developed tools and methods beyond any known civilization. Yet their actions were always restrained, deliberate, and purposeful. Every ship that approached the border returned with more respect than knowledge. Jiho spoke to his crew. "We have witnessed a civilization that measures power and choice, not destruction. They do not conquer. They control by deciding when to act and when to observe. That is their true strength. Hana added, their silence, their restraint, and their deliberate boundaries teach the galaxy something we often forget. Power without discipline is meaningless. Humans understand this, and that is why they remain unchallenged. The human vessel slowly retreated, leaving the Dawn Herald with clear records, signals, and a strong message. There were no threats, no demands, only observation and guidance. The humans' philosophy was simple, yet profound. Act with care, hold boundaries, and respect the consequences of every choice. As Jiho watched the vessel fade into the distance, he realized that the human strength was invisible to those who expected brute force. Their true power lay in understanding limits, controlling what was theirs, and allowing the galaxy to witness it without direct confrontation. It was a quiet authority, stronger than any fleet or weapon. Su Kim recorded the events carefully. The council would receive reports, but the lesson was clear even to the smallest species. Human space was not empty because it was unknown. It was a deliberate choice, a line that conveyed power through patience and restraint. The humans had shown that the most effective control is often the one that is least visible. Jiho Park felt a deep respect for the humans and their methods. The lesson of choice, discipline, and observation was one that the galaxy would remember. Human space remained uncharted, not from fear or mystery, but because humanity chose to make it so. The line on the map was not a limit of knowledge, but a limit of wisdom. The council chamber was filled with quiet murmurs. Reports from the Dawn Herald had arrived, and the delegates studied them carefully. Every detail about the humans, their restraint, and the events at the border was documented. Captain Jiho Park and his crew were present, along with Ambassador Su Kim and historian Hana Lee. The story of human space, of what lay beyond the blank maps, was finally being considered in full. Delegates whispered about the returned ships, the missing drones, and the quiet guidance of human vessels. Every report emphasized one fact: humans were powerful beyond measure, but they chose not to dominate. Their space was controlled through observation and restraint, not aggression. The blank area on the galactic map was not a mystery, but a deliberate decision by humanity. The council debated what to do. Some argued that the map should remain unchanged. Others suggested adding notes to warn explorers of the humans' capabilities. Jiho Park listened quietly, knowing that the humans' lesson was already clear. Strength is shown through choice, not conflict. He understood that marking the space would diminish the respect humans had earned by remaining silent. Su Kim stood to address the council. She summarized the events and observations. Humans have demonstrated restraint, intelligence, and responsibility, she said. They could take any action, yet they choose when and how to intervene. This is not weakness. It is strength beyond what our instruments can measure. The map ends there because they choose it. That choice must be respected. Hana Lee added historical context. She explained that humans had risen rapidly in the galaxy, learning lessons from early conflicts and disasters. Instead of repeating mistakes, they had controlled their expansion and focused on discipline and balance. Their philosophy emphasized careful action and responsibility for the consequences. The blank region on the map was not an error. It was a deliberate boundary that communicated the humans' understanding of power. Jiho recalled the observation missions. He thought of the energy pulses, the signals, and the subtle guidance of ships. The humans had taught patience, caution, and respect without firing a single weapon. Every encounter reinforced the idea that some power is best shown through choice rather than force. It was a lesson the galaxy could not ignore. The council voted. They decided to leave the maps as they were, with human space uncharted. Detailed notes would be kept in archives for future scholars and explorers, but the public charts would remain blank. The council understood that this was not ignorance or fear. It was respect for a civilization that had mastered restraint and understanding. Ho felt a sense of relief. The humans' lesson was preserved. The galaxy would continue to approach human space with care, knowing that the unknown held power, measured by wisdom, not violence. The blank space on the map was a line not of mystery, but of choice and consequence. As the Dawn Herald departed the council chamber, Ji-Ho reflected on what they had learned. Humanity's strength lay in their decisions. They had the ability to dominate, to control, and to enforce their will. Yet they acted only when necessary, and with great care. Their space was not empty. It was intentionally unmarked, a symbol of authority that required respect rather than fear. Su Kim observed the stars beyond the council's chamber, windows. She noted that every civilization could learn from humans. Power could be shown without aggression, and control could be maintained without conquest. These principles, if applied wisely, could stabilize regions, prevent conflicts, and guide the galaxy toward balance. Hanalei added that historians would write of this moment for centuries. Human space would remain a unique example of how restraint, intelligence, and responsibility could achieve dominance without the need for war. Explorers and scholars would understand that the line on the map represented choice and wisdom, not absence or ignorance. Ji-Ho thought of the crews, the lost ships, and the messages received through pulses and signals. Humanity had observed, guided, and preserved life, all while remaining unseen and unmarked. Their approach was a model of strategy, patience, and control. It was a form of strength that no weapon could replace. As the council dispersed, Ji-Ho returned to the Dawn Herald. The crew felt a deep respect for the humans and a sense of pride in having witnessed their choices. The mission had revealed the extraordinary power of quiet authority and careful decision-making. The galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Some lines are unmarked because those who hold them understand the value of restraint. The Dawn Herald continued its patrol near the border of human space, recording every pulse, signal, and anomaly. Every officer aboard understood the significance. Human space was not a challenge to be conquered, nor a mystery to be solved. It was a deliberate statement, a living lesson in power and wisdom. It remained uncharted, respected by all who approached it. Ji-Ho Park felt a deep sense of closure. Humanity had chosen their limits, and the galaxy had accepted them. The blank space on the map would endure, not as an absence, but as a symbol of deliberate choice, restraint, and quiet authority. The humans had taught the galaxy without speaking, guiding every civilization to understand that true strength lies in wisdom, patience, and the careful use of power. As the stars shimmered beyond the uncharted border, Ji-Ho knew that the lesson would remain for generations. Human space was more than territory. It was an example of how restraint could create respect, how power could exist without aggression, and how a civilization could inspire awe simply by choosing how to act. The line on the map was more than a limit. It was a testament to the human's wisdom and a reminder to all that some questions, once answered, could never be ignored again.